بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We'll continue inshallah ta'ala, and a reminder for all of us inshallah ta'ala to remind ourselves the great purpose that we have in inquiring knowledge, and the great blessing to be gathering for the sake of the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reminding you that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that we shared together in the beginning of these classes, that the angels will lower their wings for the student of knowledge. And know that everything is asking forgiveness for you, for the student of knowledge, including the fish in the oceans. And we remind ourselves with one great thing in طلب العلم. يقول العلماء رحمهم الله, I mean one of the sayings that's been narrated on behalf of the scholars, that إن أعطيت كلك للعلم يعطيك العلم بعده. If you give everything, all what you have, all your effort for the knowledge then will give you a little bit of it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. But it's not in the inquiring of the quantity of the, let's say, the amount of the knowledge, but is for the key of the knowledge and the purpose for the knowledge that we are using for is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Know that the barakah of the knowledge in your intention and in your sincerity, because we doing it for one great purpose, which is to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When someone has always this intention, it needs to be renewed and refreshed. Because renewing the intention and refresh the intention, keep the sincerity and the fervor to get more and more knowledge will be always up and high. And if someone in his prayer is seeking khushu', the more knowledge he will have more khushu'. The more knowledge he will have more dynamic action in his life toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more knowledge he's enjoy good and forbid evil. The more knowledge he's shortening or shrinking the distance between the halal and the haram. You know the Prophet ﷺ in hadith al-Ibad ibn Sariyah, he said the distance between al-halal or haram. Halal is very clear and the haram is very clear. He said what between them is doubtful thing. And that doubtful area, it shrinks with knowledge. It shrinks with knowledge. Therefore, the more knowledge, the more aptitude to get the gift of Allah, which is Al-Furqan, which is the criteria. Reminding you and reminding myself is one of the greatest weapon or tool in the sabr, patience. And there is something that I would like to remind you, that in all the types of knowledge, when you sit and learn, it's not obvious that you understand everything from the first classes. So that intention and the sincerity, that's the main barakah that Allah will help you to understand. Because there's many things that today, for example, you won't understand 40%, 50%. But later on, what you have past the classes with more classes is going to like accumulation of the understanding. So the real understanding comes at the end of the period, to see when you look at things, you will have everything in your mind. And then there's a lot of mustalahat. When you use the terms in the beginning will be like kind of strange to you. The second thing, can you adapt to it? And then after a while, the terms becomes something that you feel, you don't make an effort to put it in its place. And this is a reminder for all of us that I see, mashallah, a lot of students, they have this strong eagerness to understand, to learn, and this is a great thing. But also, we need to understand the natural ways of understanding and learning. So if someone feels that he's not understanding everything, that's where the sabr comes to help you persevere, because the understanding is going to follow, is going to come. So that the more perseverance, the more patience, the more review, when someone he will review, he will see where he is not understanding things, what the thing that he could not understand. That's from where it comes the right question. Because the right questions are also increase of knowledge, are also way of knowledge. Actually, learning is also questioning. The Prophet ﷺ, when he said about Jibreel alayhi salam, when he came and he asked him a question, he said, Jibreel came to teach you your deen. So the part of the learning also, that when you study and you review and you check, then after you check and you come, and there's some, foggy, cloudy parts, things, that's where you make the question. It will be learning and teaching for all of us. The other thing we're talking about, the exam, inshallah, will give you the final date. And we want to hear from your feedback. I mean, the idea is to have it in the class. Some of brother, they suggest to be open book. So we said, I was talking, with the shuyukh, mainly Sheikh Walid. So he said something good and funny. He said, yes, open book, but not open Google. So I said, that's what my concern about the open book is, like everything on your hand, on your device. So if you do open book, but not open Google. So do not consult Sheikh Google. That's one. The other thing, inshallah, we'll see your feedback, is to do it in class or to take it home, but we prefer to be done in class, because sometimes the people that take it home, they will have, a lot of trial and fitan to not do it, and it's gonna take a long time, we'll see, inshallah. But the exam, it's a way, the most important part of the exam, inshallah, is your review before the exam. Then whatever is going to do in the exam is going to be great, because you already did that effort, that sincere, way to act and to work and you put your effort. That's the most important. That's what really, deserve the grade. That's what really deserve the grade. Because if you're gonna put open book, so you can go and see what you have notes. You can see like the brother or the sister copy if you have someone doesn't have enough notes, or he make his study to bring. And for example, if we say give your evidence, the evidence that only what we mentioned in the class, and the evidence, do not write anything and you say this is because the evidence is this, this is a story, just to mention it. Someone, he has a place, he sells sweets, so he has on top of the sign, he said, Muslim is sweets and love sweets, narrated by Muslim. So a student of knowledge, he saw the hadith, and he said, I never heard this hadith. Muslim is sweet and loves the sweets. So he checked Sahih Muslim from the beginning to the end, and he came to this person. He told him, you have such a thing, it's not narrated by Muslim. So the Muslim you're talking about, he said narrated by Muslim, means Sahih Muslim, Rawahu Muslim. He said, no, it's me who narrated, and I am Muslim. So when you put an evidence, put really narrated by Muslim or Bukhari or one of the scholars of the hadith, and we do not accept anyone saying if it's not based on true evidence and proof. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعيننا ويثبتنا ويفقهنا في الدين ويعلمنا التأويل. And this is one of the best dua that the Prophet ﷺ did for Ibn Abbas رضي الله تعالى عنه. We'll continue inshallah في باب فروض الوضوء وصفته. باب فروض الوضوء, the chapter of the obligatory parts of the wudu and its description of the sifa, of the way how to do it. قال فروضه ستة غسل الوجه والفم والأنف منه. And this is part we already done. The obligatory parts of the wudu are 6. The first one is to wash the face. Now, what is our evidence in the obligatory parts in the wudu? What is our evidence? What is our proof? Because the Prophet ﷺ, all his wudu that he did a complete action, from washing the hand to rinsing the mouth to sniffing the water and blowing it up, from washing the face and all of that. From where do we know that we start? The first obligatory part of the wudu is washing the face. The evidence is the ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah number 6, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when you are going to pray, when you are standing to pray, wash your faces. So He started the first thing, wash your face. So whatever Allah mentioned in the Quran, that's are the obligatory parts. What does it mean, obligatory part? The obligatory part is a requirement. Without it, the wudu is invalid. Without it, the wudu is invalid. So we have like the core structure of the wudu, and then the embellishment of the wudu with the sunnah to come to have a complete image of the wudu. And when we say the core without anything that reduces from the core of the wudu is not accepted. What are these, or what is this core of the wudu, or what are the action of the core of the wudu? That's what we call it fara'id. That's what we call fara'id. And there are fara'id that mean obligatory parts to be respected and observed during the wudu. The first one we said al-wajhu, to face. And al-wajhu, one time. You remember in Sunan al-wudu that we studied before, قال والغسلة الثانية والثالثة. The second wash and the third wash as sunnah. And we said the sunnah, remember when we talk about the sunnah, we do not say sunnah, it means like do not do it. No, it is sunnah, it's okay. No, sunnah is for us to hasten to do it. Sunnah is for us to hasten to do, because that's where is the way of the guidance. قال واتبعوه لعلكم تهتدون, and follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you might be guided. Therefore, the guidance in seeking the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as mentioned in the ayah I mentioned from Surah Al-A'raf. Then قال غسل الوجه, one time. والفم والأنف منه, and the mouth and the nose to sniff and to rinse is part of them. But we mentioned after discussing and presenting the different saying of the scholar, which is not part of it. When it's not part of it, it doesn't mean that you miss the nose in washing. We're talking about the inside nose and the inside mouth. Do we have to rinse part of the obligatory part of the face? No. We said it's no, as we mentioned from the saying of the scholar and the study we did last time. وَغَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ وَغَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ, and the washing of the hand, and the washing of the hand. And we said in the washing of the hand to al-mirfaq, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ. And do you remember what is the difference between al-mashu wal-ghaslu? Al-mashu is to wipe, wal-ghaslu is to wash. The difference between them, al-ghaslu, you pour water, a scoop of water, and you pour it. And then the whole part of the wudu will be touched by the water, that is washing. Al-mashu is to wet your hand and you wipe on the part that you're going to wipe. So when you say ghaslu, is not mashu. قال وغسل اليدين, and the washing of the hand up to the elbows. And we said the elbows included. And we said if the hukum, the ruling concerning any part or any action, and he give you a destination, a target, say 2. If the hukum is the destination or the target and the one that we are considering to do from the same kind, so the destination or the target is included. If it's not the same kind as the target, the hukum change. This is the ruling that we started, you remember. So we said the hand, when you say up to the elbow, so what I'm washing is the hand, and the elbow is part of the hand. So this jinsu, al-mirfaqu min jinsi al-yad. The elbow is part of the hand, it's the same substance, the same kind. So when you say to the elbow, it includes the elbow. If they're not from the same thing, like قال وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض قال ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل, and then continue your fasting up to the night. 2. So this is have a target. So the 2 here, at the end of the day, we have a new time, which is the night. So the night is not from the same kind of the day. Therefore, at this target, the hukum will change. So the fasting will go up to end of the day, and when the night comes, I have to break my fast. So I will not continue. You see, so this is the saying of the scholar, which is their evidence when he said to the elbows are included based on this ruling and based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that Abu Huraira, when he saw the Prophet ﷺ, he said he was washing the hand and he get up to above the elbow. Now, قال ومسح الرأس ومنه الأذنان ومسح الرأس, and to wipe. You see now, wiping, not washing. So when we say wiping here, it's not required for the water to touch the skin of the head. Wiping. قال ومسح الرأس ومنه الأذنان, and part of it is الأذنان, which here we have difference of opinion about the scholars. If the wiping of the ears is part of the wiping of the head by obligation, or the wiping of the ears are separate from the wiping of the head and they will be like a sunnah. قال مسح الرأس وهو إمرار اليد على شيء. مسح, so to wipe, to have the hand goes above the thing that you're going to wipe. So المسح صيغة المسح أن يمر يده المبلولة على الرأس. So the way how to do it, to wet the hand and to wipe with the head. To wet the hand and to wipe with the head. And the Prophet ﷺ did that in his wudu. So this is the dalil of the Quran, the evidence from the Quran, the evidence from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the evidence of the ijma', of the consensus of the holy scholar. The masah started from the top here, from the forehead, and goes up to the end of the head to touching the neck from the back. But the neck is not included. You see some people, they wet their hand and they wipe the neck. That's not part of wudu. We'll come to it inshallah, because it's being introduced, or some of the school of thought, they have it, which is the Hanafi school, but they're based on hadith weak, that it doesn't have really any strength to be considered and to be included as a hukm. But when you say up to the neck, so to the end of the head from the back, which is manbatu sha'ri, from where the end of the hair, that's the head. Now, قال والله سبحانه وتعالى, so the dalil, قال وامسحوا والقاعدة في الأصول الأمر يفيد الوجوب. Whatever you see a command, an order, so the verb is used in the imperative form, do. So say wipe. And when it comes in this form, according to the usul of fiqh, this is a principle. Whatever you see an imperative form in the verb, that means that's an obligation. Unless there's another evidence who will show us that it's not. But if there's no other evidence, if there is any other element to show us the other way, therefore it by obligation is an obligation, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imsahu and wipe. Wal-amru, as we said, yufidu al-wujub. And the Prophet ﷺ, as we said, he did that. Based on that, whoever who make wudu and he doesn't wipe his head, so his wudu is invalid. His wudu is invalid. Now, the question, how much of the head is required to be wiped? And here we have saying of the scholars that we're going to, inshallah, present for you. The Maliki school, they said, some of their, narration, they say it's the whole head. And also for the Hanbali school. And also Maliki school, they have another saying, which is the third of the head. So for the main Hanbali thought opinion and the Maliki opinion, it is the whole head must be wiped. That's the obligation. So if you leave any part of it, so you didn't fulfill this part of the obligation, therefore the wudu is invalid. The second saying is the fourth of the head. The fourth of the head. And this is the saying of the Hanafi school. The third saying, the minimum to wipe from the head is 3 up to 3 hairs. That's the minimum. And this is the Shafi'i school. So the minimum required is 3 hairs. The minimum required. 3 شعرات. If you wipe like just on top like this, Shafi'i. And this is the saying of the Shafi'i. And the fourth one is the Maliki school. Another strong saying that they have is the third of the head. This is all the saying of the scholars. Those who say the obligation is to wipe the whole head, it is, of course, from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قَالَ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. And it's good to talk about this because this is going to help us to understand many issues in the future. And this is how the scholars, they dig and they come to see in details the words. قَالَ, look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قَالَ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. This letter ba. And he said, and why B? It might be zaida. Zaida, it means like there to clarify what you're going to wipe. Therefore, it meaning wipe your head. B in the Arabic, the ba, the letter ba, when it's associated to a name, it also can mean part of it. للتبعيض. So he say, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, wipe part of the head. Wipe part of the head. And when the scholar of the language, and especially of the usul and the fuqaha, when they look at the Arabic language and to see how many, the use of the ba. For example, the ba is also used to make an oath. We say, billahi. The ba, it's associated to the name of Allah to express an oath. B for a sabab. قَالَ فَأَهْلَكْنَاهُمْ بِذُنُوبِهِمْ. We punish them because of their sins. And here, subhanAllah, from where comes the difference of opinion of the scholars. So for those who say the ba is like to clarify what you're going to wipe, so zaida, they say you must have, must wipe the whole head. And those who say the ba, it comes to notify that is the obligation is part. It's like wamsahu, part, and wipe part of your head. And this is the difference of opinion. So the first scholar who's saying the head must all over, to be wiped, they take from the ba as the clarification, There's the scholar of the lugha, of the language, they counted 10 use of the ba in the Arabic language that we mentioned, maybe now 3 or 4 of them. Then they say الدليل الثاني لمن أوجب مسح جميع الرأس من السنة. And the second evidence we had from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So the first evidence is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, wipe your hair. They take it in consideration, the ba, and they give all their evidence, because if they read their analysis, they said, yes, this is right. So, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, wipe your head, not part of your head. Which is the same area used by the other scholars to validate their opinion. Their second evidence is the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قال توضأ فمسح جميع رأسه. He made wudu and he wiped all his head sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And is being noticed in all the ahadith that never the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did part of the head, except one dalil that is going to be used by the other scholars that we mentioned, inshallah, when we come to it. The Hanafiya قالوا, no, fourth of the head is enough. They say the ba here is the tab'id. The ba is notifying us that enough, part of it is enough. But how much part? The third, the half? They say no, the fourth. And you say, do you have any evidence in the Quran that the ba is also used like the way you say? He said, yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Musa when he heard the head of his brother when he was mad, قَالَ وَأَخَذَ بِرَأْسِ أَخِيهِ. So when he took part of his head, he didn't take the whole head, he took part. So B, it means part of it, which is when they have this in the language, or it's also in the logic, what we call, if you hold something, part of it is that you are in control of all of it. So this is they introduce it in the way of the analysis of the ahkam. So he said, if you wipe for part, fourth of it or part of it, is that you wipe the whole thing. So the minimum is that's the minimum requirement. Why? Because we're talking about the obligatory parts. If we're talking about the sunnah, that it is very clear that the whole head need to be wiped. Their second evidence, which this is where the Prophet ﷺ was seen, he didn't wipe on his head fully. He said in Ghazwat Tabuk, in the hadith being described, when he was making wudu, قال فمسح بناصيته وعلى العمامة. So the Prophet ﷺ has a turban. So imagine. So when he wiped on his forehead and on above the turban. And he didn't take off the turban. But the turban is not like a hat, because the hat is easy to take off. But the turban, it's really, around the head and firmly, around the head, so it's difficult to take it off. I mean, if you take it off, it's going to take a time to put it back. So the Prophet ﷺ masaha alayha. So they said, if the Prophet ﷺ, the part that he wiped from the forehead is around like 4 fingers. So which is mean like if we make the proportion based on the head is the 4th. And look, subhanAllah, the scholar, how far they go in their analysis. So they say, based on this hadith, we extract that it's enough to wipe from the head the 4th of it. This is the saying of the Ahnaf. And their dalil. But actually their evidence is against them, because it's either you wipe on the turban or you wipe on the head. You cannot do both. And this is they have in their usul. They have in their usul. But this is we just giving you their dalil and to see why they say it's a 4th, which is very important to see that, because our great eminent scholars, rahimahumullah, they do not give any opinion based on whims. Everything you see is based on evidence, based on analysis, and based on a real, discussion and real proofs. طيب. قال, they have also, subhanallah, these rules for the Ahnaf. For many it seems like strange, but this is they have it as a rule in all their fiqh. Is part of the thing, imply that you did everything. So, and always is around the 4th. So for example, if someone, he's making tawaf, and he could not make 7, if he make 4 rounds, for the Ahnaf school, as he did part of it, is going to be accepted. He doesn't have to redo the whole tawaf. For the rest, he can make jabr. He can pay sadaqah or pay things to make jabr. Not for the rest of the scholar. If you make 4 and you leave, you have to redo the whole tawaf. And this is one, subhanAllah, and this difference of opinion, that's what we say. The difference of opinion between the scholar is a mercy for the ummah. and the difference of opinion between the people, it's a chaos for the ummah. So the great scholar, they have like proofs. That's why it's a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have their difference of opinion. Okay. Those who say that 3 hair only, which is the Shafi'i school, they base their evidence on ba. The ba is for tab'id, so part of the head. قال وامسحوا برؤوسكم. We take the ba in the language, and there is very strong evidence that they have, because the ba in the language is also implies the portion of the thing. So وامسحوا برؤوسكم means wide part of your head. So the ba can be understood in the language in this ayah from 2. Ba, extra word to clarify what you're going to wipe. So وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ means wipe your head. And this is the evidence of the first opinion. Now here the ba also implies in the language part. So he said وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, wipe part of your head. According to the Shafi'i school, what will be the minimum requirement for part of the head? So they said, we have the rules in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He's saying the minimum of the plural is 3. أقل الجمع 3. For example, we say you make a jama'ah. Even according to them, if you make jama'ah, you can make jumu'ah with 3 people. Why? Because they have the minimum of a gathering is 3. So based on that, they apply it also on all the ahkam. So it becomes like a principle. They look, to use it and apply it when they have anything that's required to see what is the plural here, what is the gathering, what is the group, etc. They use this ruling. فَيَقُولُونَ أَقَلُّ الْجَمْعِ 3. So based on that, if you do part of the head as small as 3 hairs, it will be enough according to the Shafi'i school. So according to them, if someone wipe 3 single hairs, 3 together, it will be for them is enough. So he fulfilled the obligation. Now be careful when, for example, someone is saying, can you make wudu according to Hanafi school? Someone, he doesn't like the Hanafi school, and he is more Shafi'i. And in one of the countries, a new ruler, he invited the scholar to decide which school of thought he'll apply for his government. Because when you have a school of thought, to have it like in a way of the ruling, especially in the jurisdictional system, right? For example, now in many countries, they have, for example, still, even though they changed the laws, but you see the core structure of the law, for example, in inheritance, in marriage, you find goes with the fiqh. And you see that they are following, for example, medical school in North Africa, mainly medical school. In the area of Egypt and Sham is like Shafi'i school, in the area of West Africa, etc. So you find in the Indian, Pakistan is Hanafi school, in the part of, Iraq, etc., Hanafi school. So that's the core. So this ruler, he wants to choose between Hanafi or Maliki school. So the scholar that he invited, he was a Shafi'i. So Imam Abu Hanifa, he gave like what is the minimum requirement in case of necessity. So he said, even there is a small hadith, if you don't have anything and you don't have water and you have the dust, but you have something like liquid, it has water, you can use it. This is very, it's opinion that they use it in necessity, but it's weak. So he told him, the ruler, he said, make for me wudu according to the Shafi'i school and wudu according to the Hanafi school. So he said, Ya Amir, or Prince, this is the Shafi'i school. So he made the wudu like the Prophet ﷺ, with 3 times and everything, and with a nice way, and you show him the water, how it goes, and so he made it like the complete image. He told him, this is Shafi'i school. So now the Hanafi school, he put the water on the side and he can part of nabid, you know, and he start to do like, because it's not water, so he's like, becomes like, you know, sugary, putting on his face, and when he comes to the head, he make fourth of it, and he did like the minimum requirement that is being mentioned in the Hanafi school as in a state of necessity. So the ruler seeing this, he said, no, we're gonna go with the Shafi'i. But in reality, what we say, make wudu according to the Hanafi school or Shafi'i or Maliki school is gonna be the wudu of the son of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So say there is no wudu according to the Hanafi school. But we have an opinion from where it comes the minimum requirement to have the wudu accepted. That's where the difference of opinion. The complete wudu that everyone is doing. If you go to Hajj or you go to place where there's people from all the parts of the world, you see them making the same wudu, maybe different technique how to wash, different technique how to sit, but it's the same wudu. It's the same wudu. So when we see this difference of opinion, it might someone use them in a state of necessity when doesn't have water. For example, if the sister, you know, in a condition they cannot make the wudu, they cannot, you know, they have their hijab, we can use the Shafi'i school. And this is like just to wet their hair and put the hand under the hijab, and that's it. They wipe their head. So we have an opinion, a very strong, valid opinion for our sister, which we're going to see how to make the wiping, and we're going to see some hadith, very important, would help us in our daily life to make it easy for us, but is based on true evidence. So this is what they're saying, part, because قال أقل الجمع ثلاث. Those who said the third of the head is they have the base of their evidence is hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in al-wasaya, in the, you know, when someone write a will, he said الثلث والثلث كثير. The third and the third is enough, is already plenty. So they took this statement from this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to apply it, to make it a rule for as a principle and rules for their fiqh, for their extracting or building their rules in the fiqh. The strongest of opinion from among these four saying, القول بوجوب مسح الرأس كله, is the saying to wipe the whole head. If we say the letter ba in the ayah, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, why you want it to be, you know, the whole thing? Why we do not say part of it? We say this ba, then is going to be understood in the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ, he always wiped all his head, though I should understand that ba as a whole head, not part of it. And this is the strongest of opinion. Now, if someone in a state of necessity, as we said, and he needs, then we have those valid opinion of the scholar. They can be used, as we mentioned, for example, the opinion of the Shafi'i school, or the opinion of the Maliki, or the opinion of the Hanafi. If someone would do them in a state of necessity, his wudu would be valid, because they are, you know, valid and accepted opinion and accepted by the all ummah and based on strong evidence. How someone can, you know, wipe his hair or his head if he has a long hair? If he has a long hair, does he has to wipe the whole hair, or to wipe up to the part that it ends with the head? So if someone his hair up to here, or you have, for example, you know, long hair, sister have long hair, so the wiping will be up to here, to the level of the head, or someone need to wipe the whole hair. So the scholars say, if you see, look close of the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, and wipe your head. He didn't say wipe your hair. Wipe your head, which means the limit will be the head. Someone doesn't need to wipe the whole hair, is at the level of the head. at the level of there. If he will wipe it, or if he can, that will be accepted. But the required is to wipe up to the head, as the scholar they say. قال ما هذا الفرق بأنه يمسح حتى يبلغ آخر الرأس ثم لا يجب عليه ما استرسل. So he wiped up to the level of the head, the end of the head. And it's not any obligation for him or for her to wipe the rest. How to make the masah? How to make the masah? We have 4 ways. We'll give you the most important, inshallah. The first way is in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, قال بدأ بمقدم رأسه حتى بلغ قفاه ثم ردها إلى الموضع الذي بدأ منه. The first way is to wipe the hands and start from مقدم الرأس, from the beginning, and this is all of us who know, and you go back to the end of the head and you bring them back. And then you start from where you started. Some of the scholars, they say no, you start from the back and you go back, because he said أقبل وأدبر. أقبل is like أقبل, he come forward, and then he went to backward. So he said, why do you start from the back if you say أقبل? أقبل, it means that goes from here, go forward and then backward. And this sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the way he was seen ﷺ, he start from the beginning and go back to the end, and go back to the end. We have another hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That hadith Al-Rabi' binti Mu'awwidh. This companion, her name Al-Rabi'. In hadith narrated by Imam Ahmad, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made wudu in front of her. قال فمسح الرأس كله من قرن الشعر كل ناحية لمنصب الشعر لا يحرك الشعر عن هيئته. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ started the wiping from the middle of the head. So he did this way and went back, and he went back, and then he did on the sides without moving the hair. And this is subhanAllah, people, for example, he has a lot of hair and he doesn't have a comb. If you're going to do this way, he's going to be like, have his hair all over it. But subhanAllah, look, the fuqaha, they consider that. So he's saying, قال العراقي أنه كان يبتدئ المسح بأعلى الرأس إلى أن ينتهي إلى أسفله يفعل ذلك في كل ناحية على حدتها. According to Al-Iraqi, he said, look, he take his hand from here and he go down, and here, and then with the right, and with the left to the left. So he has to do the head, but in this way. And this is the hadith of Al-Rabi' that he mentioned. And he said, mainly this is for the women, because the Prophet ﷺ didn't do this wudu in front of any of the companion from the man. And he did it in front of Rabi'a, which is woman, to give them the permission, to give them, which also the other way to make the masah without going up and down, which would be maybe difficult for the women to undo their hair. So they can do it without moving it back. In the when Imam Ahmad was asked about this hadith, he said, it's enough to go forward and not come back. This is the saying of Imam Ahmad coming from this hadith. We'll stop here, inshallah. We'll meet you after the prayer, and we'll continue with this, inshallah, analysis concerning the masah. وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه We continue in the types, in the ways how to wipe the hand. The first way that is known is, as he said in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قال أقبل وأدبر. أقبل وأدبر means to go from the top of the head to the end and go back. And the other ways are being extracted from Hadith al-Rabi', and we saw that in ways to keep the hair as is without moving it. So someone will wipe in the way how it's being calm, this is, I can read for you the saying of Ibn Qudama in Al-Mughni. قال ابن قدامة رحمه الله قال فإن كان ذا شعر يخاف أن ينتفش برد يديه لم يردهما. If someone is concerned, if he go back from the back to have his hair uncomb and be spreading all over, قال يعني في الوضوء قال لم يردهما. He doesn't have to go back, because the way is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that is being done, but he did it different way, as we mentioned in the hadith of Rabi'. So we have the most important thing, that the head will be wiped fully. How to do it? In this case, someone do it in the case to go forward and then go back and where someone started. Or he can do it without going back. Why? Because he's concerned that his hair is going to be spreading and can't, etc. So he had the right to do that, as he said here in the opinion and in Al-Mughni rahimahullah. قال ونص عليه أحمد. And the Imam Ahmed also mentioned that. قال فإنه قيل له من له شعر إلى منكبيه. Whoever who have hair up to his shoulder, brought down. كيف يمسح في الوضوء. How he should wipe his hair. فأقبل أحمد بيديه على رأسه مرة وقال هكذا كراهية أن ينتشر شعر. So someone, if he has long hair, if you go in front and then go back, you see all his hair is going to be like spread. So Imam Ahmed, he said, if he has a head, he goes this way one time, and that's it. And that's it. That will be wiping the head for the condition of someone who has a long hair and he's concerned to have his hair, undone, and he doesn't have maybe come to use it. So this is accepted, and it's not like a permission. No, this is a way of wiping the head that is fully accepted, as long as the wiping will touch the whole head. So this is ways, كيفيات مسح الرأس. قال وإن شاء مسح كما روي عن الربيع. And if he would, he can do the masah as being narrated by the companion radiallahu ta'ala anha al-Rabi'. And he starts from the middle of the head, In this way, يقول one of the scholars explaining the way how it can be done, because it can be explained from different ways. قال يبدأ المسح من منتصف الرأس فيمسح باليد اليمنى. أن يقول ابتداء المسح من منتصف الرأس فيمسح باليد اليمنى على يمين الرأس وباليد اليسرى على يسار الرأس ويمسح مقدم الرأس إلى الأمام ومؤخر الرأس إلى الخلف. So he starts this way. He starts from the middle. With the right hand, he wipes, talking mainly about the sister, right? Will be, so from the right hand, we'll wipe the right part, and then the left part. Then he will do the front part. So front part, and then from here, the back part. And this will be the way extracted from Hadith al-Rabi'. Okay? So we have these different ways. And any way you choose will be, insha'Allah, the right way according to the Hadith and the saying of the scholar, rahimahumullah ta'ala. Now, there's a fatwa that's been issued by a question that's been address it to Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah ta'ala about wiping over someone's khimar, for example the hijab. Because you have the hat that you put, the kufi, and then the turban or the hijab that is like kind of wrapped around the head. If something easily movable, it needs to be removed and wiped the head. If it's not, there's a permission to wipe over it. So this lady asking, and this is the mess of the fatwa, saying rahimahullah ta'ala, قال أما التحجيبة, he means the hijab, you know, إذا كانت غير ذلك فلا بد من بيانها. أما لو كان الخمار محنكا على الرأس, so if the hijab is like tied around the hand and wrapped around the hand, and it will be a hardship to take it off, especially when someone who is not in an intimate place, he's around his mahar. قال ما دمت على طهارة, as long as you have the tahara, you do the wiping on the turban or on the hijab like the wiping on the leather socks. The same hukm. So he made it by analogy. This is his fatwa. قال قال فإنه يمسح عليه يوما وليلة كالخفين. Day and night for the day, and if someone is traveling, she can do it for 3 days if she doesn't take off the hijab, with the condition to wear the hijab or to wear the turban, al-imamatu, in this case, with wudu. So in this fatwa is a full qiyas analogy based on the khuffayn, because al-khuffayn, it is part that is an obligation to wash and is being covered, and the Prophet ﷺ instructed us. We're going to see in the next chapter the wiping on al-khuffayn, and will mean like the meaning of the khuffayn, and the khuffayn, must they be leather or not, and we'll check about that. But based on that evidence, some of the scholars, they make the analogy on everything that is covered from the part of the wudu and is needed to be covered, especially for the sister. You know, this is a requirement for their, dress and dressing code to have that. So they can, in some condition, to apply this fatwa, which is valid, and it has great evidence. And as we said, it's been said and published from the fatwa of Ibn Baz, and based also his hukm on the analogy that is made, taken also in the Hanbali school. This is concerning al-mashu al-ras. This is concerning the masah, the wiping on the head. Then he's saying, rahimahullah, after that, قال ومسح الرأس ومنه الأذنان ومسح الرأس ومنه الأذنان. And al-udhunan, as we said, we have difference of opinion, and the ears are part of the head or not, and the udhunan is being wiped, but distinct from the head, because after we wipe the head, we do the udhunan, which is based on that. On the author, the udhunan, the ears, are an obligation, and other opinion, they say it's not an obligation. But the Prophet ﷺ used to do them all the time. Someone will keep to use them all the time, and he will be away from the difference of opinion of the scholars. Then قال وغسل الرجلين. Then the washing of the feet. So this is the fourth, if you can say, the fourth obligatory part in the wudu. The first, the face. The second, the hand up to the elbows. The third, wiping the heads with the detail that we mentioned. And the fourth is washing the feet. In washing the feet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. So, وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. And he said, وَامْسَحُوا, wipe your heads and your feet to the ankles. And here, will go with wipe or goes with wash from the beginning of the area. قال وامسحوا B, and B in the Arabic language is حرف جر يخفض الاسم الذي يليه. Say B رؤوسكم, C, because رؤوسكم can be رؤوسكم or رؤوسكم. So when we say رؤوسكم, if you add أرجو لكم, لكم, it might tell us, yeah, this is connected with the head, so must be wiped. But in the known qira'ah, وَأَرْجُو لَكُمْ, لَكُمْ, it will be distinct from the heads and will be annexed to the washing of the face and the hands. So we'll be seeing like wash your face and the hands up to the elbow, you wipe your head and wash, continue to wash your feet. That's the meaning of that. And of course with the adil. Only some of the people follows their own hawa. They said no, it is the requirement is the only that you wipe, you don't wash, and this is against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and against all the evidence. There is a qira'ah وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُوا لِكُمْ with the kasr. But this is known in the Arabic language because when you put the words next to each other, some of the words they take the same let's say vowels or the same khafd if they're makhfuda to be like because of what we call al-mujawara, because they are next to each other. But some of the mufassirin, they extracted something nice from this. He said, قال وأرجلكم, this is mean that you have to wash them. وأرجلكم, this is mean the other option of wiping when you wearing the socks or the khuffa. But the feet, all scholars they say must be washed, except the masah, the wiping when we're wearing something like the khuffain, that's different hukum. But we're talking here is the washing. In the hadith of Abi Hurairah, the evidence from the Sunnah, قال أنه توضأ فغسل رجليه حتى شرع في الساق. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was washing his feet and he went beyond the ankle. He's almost starting in the leg. And this is also in this hadith, and based on the rule that we mentioned, is the ankle is part of the feet, therefore they need to be included in the washing. They need to be included, those the ankles, they need to be included in the washing. Not up to the ankle. Ankles included, the same as we make the analysis for the elbows. We make the analysis for the elbows. And all the scholars, they saying is an obligation to wash them, Except for of course, what we said about the masah of the khuffain, that is known in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And the masah of the khuffain, the wiping on the khuffain, which is the leather socks, or any socks, we'll see inshallah the ahkam, it's been narrated by 60 of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's almost hadith from a very high level hadith of the soundness. That's why the scholar of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they introduced this hadith in the books of Aqidah. They said it's from the Aqidah Ahl Sunnah, among it is to wipe on the khuffain. And I keep saying al-khuffain, to not say socks because there's different opinion about that, but the khuffain, which is the leather socks. Why we introduce it in the Aqidah? Why being introduced in the book of Aqidah? Because anyone who denying the wiping of the socks, he's denying a sound hadith. And anyone who denying a sound hadith, he's really doubting the whole sunnah. And the one who's doubting his sunnah, he's doubting the whole belief. So questioning the wipe on the socks is a question, a very strong hadith. Questioning a very strong hadith is a questioning the source of the sunnah as it is hajjiyya, like it's through the source of the Islamic jurisprudence. And if you question one of the source of the Islamic jurisprudence, you are questioning the belief itself. Because if you question the source, you question the revelation, the wahy that the Prophet ﷺ received. And that's why they introduce it in the book of the Aqidah, that you find it in the Aqidah Tahawiyya, mention it in the end of the book. He said, and from the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ati, mas'al mas'hu al khuffayn. Why? Because he was narrated more than 60 companions, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim, from different paths that narrated this hadith. So people, when they want to, they say the logic, you have to wash. They say, no, this is the sunnah, that you follow the law of the Prophet ﷺ, the way of the Prophet ﷺ, not what you think it need to be. So but the rest is the washing is an obligation. The washing is an obligation. قال وغسل الرجلين والترتيب is to follow the sequence. And put them in order. At-tartib is to respect the order. To do the wudu in the sequence that been mentioned in the ayah. So at-tartib, the order here is an obligation. So if someone wash his feet before wiping his head, his wudu is invalid. If he wipe his head and then he wash his face, his wudu is invalid. Why? Because he didn't observe the order as instructed in the ayah, according to this opinion. Some of the opinion, which is the Hanafi school, they say the respecting the order is not an obligation as long as you wash all the parts obligated for the wudu. Why are they saying that? Because they say the waw, which is meaning and, in the language Arabic, the Arabic language, it doesn't mean tartib, it doesn't mean for you to follow the sequence. It means that al-jam'u is like to give you things that be done together. For example, you say Hassan and Ali, they came. Ali and Hassan, they came. You don't know, say Ali came first. If you say Ali came first and then Hassan, your sentence is right. If you say Hassan come first and Ali, your sentence is right. If you say Hassan and Ali, they come together, your sentence is right. So you say Ali and Hassan. You say who came? You say Ali and Hassan. So you do not understand. So Ali came first. You say no. So whatever you say in the order will be accepted. And this is how they base their opinion, the Ahnaf, when they say the waw, here the and, it doesn't mean that we have to follow the order. So based on that, they say following the order is not an obligation. But in fact it is. Why? Because yes, you're right, you're saying the waw doesn't mean that we have to follow the order. It doesn't imply the order. But looking at the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and what he did, therefore that will be the other evidence to tell us the Sunnah, the way is the order. Now the other dalil and evidence that the scholar, those who say at-tartibu fardun, following the order is an obligation, they have the other one. He's saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayah said, wash, wipe and wash. Wash the face, wash the hands, wipe the head, wash the feet. If we say this is not the order, so it will not be, in the right structure to use if we don't mean the order, so you have to put the wash together and the wipe together. They say wash your face and your hand and your feet, and then wipe. So when you put the wiping of the head among these wash parts that you need to be washed, this is by logic and by analysis, you have to follow this order. So the scholars, they say, the fact to mention the wiping of the head in the middle of the washing part, this is an evidence that you have to follow the order. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want you to follow the order, He would have said the washing and then the wiping. Or He says start with the wiping part and then the washing, and whatever you mix them will be accepted. But when He said the washing and then He cut and He said wipe and then comes back to the washing, which is mean that we are obligated to follow the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. And this is another evidence for the opinion Hussein, which is the strongest of opinion, and the opinion of Al-Jumhur, that it need to follow the sequence. Therefore, following the sequence is an obligation. And when we said following the sequence is an obligation, so if someone mixes in the sequence, he has to redo his wudu. And he do from the last part. Not he will do the whole thing, he will do the last part. For example, if he, after washing the face, he went directly to the ears, for example, or to the feet. So what he going to go back? He go from the action that it need to be done after the washing the face. So he has to wash his hand, wipe his head, ears, and then goes to the feet. There's hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that the Arabi, the Bedouin, he told him, Ya Rasulullah, how should I make wudu? The Prophet ﷺ قال توضأ كما أمرك الله. Make the wudu as Allah ordered you. And Allah ordered you with the sequence, with this order. So he has to follow the description of the making of the wudu as stated in the ayah. The Prophet ﷺ always make that particular sequence, never advance or make any of the others. There's only one hadith that the other opinion, they use to validate that the sequence is not an obligation. That the Prophet ﷺ, he rinse his mouth after washing his face. How can we answer this? To say the sequence is still an obligation. So Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he washed the face and then he make al-madmada, he rinse his face. So يقول الفقهاء, we have to know one thing here. We have two parts in the wudu, two categories of action. There's the obligatory action and the sunnah action. So when we have the sequence, the most important sequence that is considered is the part that is obligatory. So if I do the rinsing by mistake after the washing of the face, is not a problem, because the rinsing is a sunnah. So if I have the sequence of the obligatory parts are following the sequence, which is face, hand, head, and then the feet. If one of the sunnah are do, for example, the washing of the mouth after the face, it will not be a problem because I respected what is an obligation to be done. But he said even the sunnah, they need also to be respected their order. But just to say, to understand that hadith. So they said the Prophet ﷺ, in this hadith, even though he rinsed his mouth after the face, but he still respected the sequence into the obligatory part. Therefore, it will not conflict with the opinion that we have the obligation of the sequence, and our conclusion, at-tartibu fardun, at-tartibu is the sequence, and to observe and follow the sequence is an obligation. If someone to mix into the sunnah part, the sunnah is always, you have amrun wasa, there's a way how to deal with it. But we're talking the main sequence that you need to observe it, is the furud. If someone mix in the sunnah, of course by mistake, it will not invalid his wudu. But if he will do it in the obligatory parts, that's where he's in that he has to redo his wudu. Then, rahimahullah, he said, وَالْمُوَالَاتُ وَالْمُوَالَاتُ. Al-muwalat is to continue do the action till the end. Wala shay, you keep acting, you keep doing it. And he defined it, the author defined it, قال ألا يؤخر غسل عضو حتى ينشف الذي قبله. So al-muwalat, how can we respect following the order in a continuous path? I mean, in a way that is continuous. We will not stop a break and then we'll continue the wudu. So we have to do it in a continuous. So when we start, we have to finish. You do not stop and then you come back to finish your wudu. If someone, for example, he's using the water and the water cut off, he needs to get another water. So that's a break between he's, for example, come to his face and then he doesn't have water. He jump, he's gonna get some water, bring it, and he continue. If this break make him to redo the wudu, that's one question. The second, people they say, taking a break because of a need, such a thing, it will be understood. But if there's any, like say, a reference for us to know how much will be the break. So some of the scholars say, as he's saying here, we'll take like a measurement, a way of a reference. What is our reference? If the break will be extending to the point that the last part washed get dry, so I have to redo my wudu. So if you wash your face and you didn't find anything, or you stop for any reason, if that break, when you come back, your face is still wet, you continue your wudu. If your face is dry, you redo your wudu. And he's saying, some of the scholars are saying, even they went farther to say, we have to consider an average normal climate, not very dry, not very, hot. So they say, up to maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes, so it depends on where. But if we say, this is our zaad, our reference, someone how he will restrict the whole issue in a way where if the last part of the wudu washed get dry, you have to do your wudu. Why? Because the muwalat is an obligation. The continuity in the action is an obligation. Any break will require to make you redo the wudu. But what type of break we're talking about? Any type of break? No. The break in which the last part washed get dry, it make you to redo the wudu. So this is what he said. قال والموالاة is to continue muwalat in the sequence, observe the sequence, and to make your wudu in continuation to the end and not stop. قال وألا يؤخر, he should not delay the washing of a part, till the previous washed part get dried. The example, as we said, if you wash, for example, your face and you take a break, you have to do something, you're being called, you're talking to someone, anything that happens. If you go back, if your face is still wet, you continue. If it's dry, that's what he said. If it's dry, then we, missed this obligation of al-muwalat. Al-muwalat. Wal-muwalat is the continuity of the action till the end of the wudu. So we have the al-dhabitu is the drying out, or the drying of the last part washed. Now, our evidence in al-muwalat, the first is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when you're going to make wudu, do all this action. So you cannot make part of the action and wait and then come back, will be not full action. Because the wudu is one single action. It has different parts. So if I do some part and I take a break and I come back, that will not be a full action. The second evidence is the action of the Prophet ﷺ and the way the Prophet ﷺ. And there is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, he saw a man after he did his wudu. He has part in his feet dry. قال in the hadith قال لما رأى على رجل الرجل قدر لمعة لم يصبها الماء. It's like very small spot. It wasn't touched by the water. So someone, he washed his feet, but in the part of in the back of the feet is still dry. The Prophet ﷺ ordered him to repeat his wudu. Well, this is an evidence. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't tell him, go wash your feet back. He told him, redo your wudu. So if it was the break from an action to go back and continue it, the Prophet then would have told him, go wash back your feet. But in this case, he told him, go redo your wudu. This is for people who neglect many parts of the wudu to be unwashed. And that's, subhanAllah, that's one of the understanding of the hadith of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. قال لتشيب عارضة المرء في الإسلام لتشيب عارضة المرء في الإسلام ولم تقبل له صلاة. You find someone getting old in Islam and no salat being accepted from him. The scholar, they're saying because he's not caring about the wudu. So if he wash his feet and a part of the feet in the back that he doesn't see, especially in that spot behind the ankles, that is not touched by the water, his wudu is not accepted. As in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And in this hadith is an evidence for us that al-muwalatu, the continuity, to have an action, continuous action till you finish the wudu, is an obligation. Now, as you see, the drying of the part washed is a reference for us to quantify, if we can say, the break. And we had a question from a dear brother last time. He said, what if someone, he has to wash and at the same time dry? You know, for a reason, for example, when he has, if he's gonna put down the shirt, it's going to be wet, especially someone at work and everything. If he would do that and he put it back, it will be wet and everything, comes back, he said, in this society, so he's ready to die, this guy, so it's about to expose himself. They think seriously like that. Actually, I saw someone making wudu and putting his, his foot on the sink. They call the security and they get him out. They say what he was doing. He said he was putting his feet on the sink. They think something that he's making things. So there's a brother Muslim, Somali security. He said, no, that's we call it wudu. So that's why they let him go. This way, some people, when they wash, they dry it. Now, the drying is not recommended. If someone, for example, is normal, because we will talk about that. Someone, can he, for example, dry? Yes, he can. But in the hadith, when the Prophet ﷺ been given the towel, he said, no, I'll keep it like that. Which is, it depends, of course. So that's, because when you see everything dripping, is that sin is coming down. That sin is coming down. But it is an obligation to not to dry someone's self. No, it's not, because it's been mentioned and it is lawful to do that, especially in condition that someone, he doesn't want his clothes to be wet. In the condition that someone finds in a way that in need to wipe, before washing, also it will not be recommended, but it will not invalidate the wudu. Why? Because in his wiping or drying, he's not taking a break. He's not taking a break. So the drying out of the part washed to dry by itself, that quantify for us how long the break was to redo the wudu. Okay? But if someone is in need to do it, we say in need to do it, and especially in condition of work, and he doesn't have the way to doesn't wet his clothes. As we see the way of the wiping the hair, and Ibn Qudama talking about that he have to keep his hair tidy. He doesn't have to do the other action, and extracted from the Sunnah of the Prophet. We say that al-nashfu here, the fact to dry, is a way to know how long was the break, but not to use it to invalidate the wudu, because someone he washed on time, but he was drying in every step for a reason and for a need, inshallah. But the recommended is to only wipe after, the wahed and the dry after the wudu. وغسل الرجلين والترتيب والموالاة. So الترتيب, sequence, موالاة, continuity into action. So those are, he considered them 6, but they are 5. 6, but they are 5. Because the tartib wal muwalat are together. Huh? The last one, قال والنية. If we consider at-tartib 5th, and al-muwalat is another one, the 6th. Therefore, the niyyah, he put the next one. And the niyyah, the intention, shartun. Shartun is a condition. So he's considered here as a condition, not only obligatory part, but as a condition. What the meaning of a shart, a condition. يقول الفقهاء الأصوليون قال ما يلزم من عدمه العدم ولا يلزم من وجوده الوجود. That's the shart. The shart ما يلزم من عدمه العدم. By obligation, its absence implies or leads to non-existence of the action. The non-existence of the condition means the non-existence of the action. Non-existence of wudu, non-existence of the salah, even though you prayed. So it's a condition. Without it, the wudu is not accepted. So here, non-existence of intention, the wudu, even is done, is not even looked at. It's like it doesn't exist. That's what it means. قال ما يلزم من عدمه العدم. يلزم, obligate, from its non-existence, the non-existence. So it's obligate from not saying the intention that the wudu is like doesn't exist even though you do it. The second part of the meaning of shart, قال وما لا يلزم من وجوده الوجود. And is not an obligation when you have the intention to make wudu. It's not, for example, the wudu is conditioned for the salah. Not every time you have wudu you have to pray. But you have to have wudu to pray. That's the meaning of shart. Wow. This is the condition. So, the condition, not every time you have wudu you have to pray, but you cannot pray till you have wudu. That's the definition of the condition in an example. For here, when he said, rahimahullah, قال والنية شرط لطهارة الأحداث. So he talking about the niyyah not only for the wudu, for every type of hadath. So every time. So we talk about wudu, we talk about tayammum, we talk about ghusl. All of these require the niyyah, the intention. Without it, the action itself is not accepted, is not valid, is like doesn't exist. An-niyyatu means al-qasdu. And we're going to talk about something that we talked last time, but this is in its place because that's when he mentioned an-niyyatu rahimahullah ta'ala. An-niyyatu, it means qasada, so you intend. You have a will to do. You express that will to do it for a purpose. What purpose you have into doing this action. And he said, قال النية, as he said, شرط لطهارة الأحداث. It is a condition for all the type of cleanliness from the hadath. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قال فَاعْبُدِ اللَّهَ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ الدِّينَ. فَاعْبُد is an order, worship Allah. مُخْلِصًا, fully sincere. To Him only the way of the belief and the way of the action and the way of the servitude. So you have to have this purpose, this intention in every action you initiate that is sincere to Allah. That is the niyyah. Therefore it needs to have it in every action. And if we not have it for the wudu, therefore it's going to be like you washing just to clean or you washing to refresh. But it will not be a washing that allow you to pray. That washing that we do, it will be giving you the permission to pray only if you have the intention in your heart that doing it for the wudu, for the actual purpose of the wudu, which is raf'ul hadath. Raf'ul hadath. And it's important, the niyyah in everything. If someone, for example, give money to someone, if he intend the money he gave is zakat, it's going to be considered zakat. If you're going to intend with it that this money is a gift, it's going to be go as a gift. If he intended that is money that he should give him back, so it's going to be as a loan. So the same amount of money, the same action, someone is giving money to a person. That money depends on the intention of him giving him that money. That's how it's going to be recorded. If it's zakat, so an obligation, he has to pay zakat. If it's sadaqah, it's going to be sadaqah. If it's loan, it's going to be loan, etc. So the intention, it is an obligation and a condition in every action. And here is mentioned. One of the great scholars, Ash-Shatibi rahimahullah, he has, as we said, a great essay and writing in his book Al-Muwafaqat and his book of Al-Maqasid, the intent of the Sharia, where he has a whole chapter showing the importance and the obligation of the intention, and it's important in all of the actions. So someone cannot do any action of cleanliness unless he already have the intention, the purpose why he's washing, If a person, he washed and in his mind that he just want to take a shower, refreshing himself, or to clean his body, he feel like he need to take a shower, and he has a janaba, he was in state of impurity, this shower will not be valid to clean him from the janaba. Why? Because he said, oh, I'm going to take a shower. and he's in state of janaba. After he taken a shower, he said, oh, well, 1 second, I didn't intend to do this for the janaba. I was just taking a shower. But I already washed. It is going to be considered that is cleanness from my janaba? Say no. You didn't intend it. You have to go back and make the intention that this washing is for the janaba, for the tahara. Because it's a worship, it's a ibadah. It's a ibadah. So wudu is not any washing, because there's a saying of some opinion, they say the wudu and the cleanness is like a mean to do something. So it's like a wasila, it's like a path, it's like you do something to get to the most important, which is this prayer. So you don't need intention. So no, the wudu itself is the ibadah. The wudu is going to turn into light in the day of judgment. And the Prophet ﷺ said every drip of water is like, sin is coming. And he said it comes even from inside your eyelid. So all of that, it shows that the wudu is a worship. And we do it with the sequence, and we say Bismillah, and all of that. So it's a ibadah. And if it's a ibadah, require an intention. Require an intention. And the intention is a condition. Is a condition in it. When do you want to get your break? 7. Are you sure? So then we'll start here. Do you have any question? Further.
You said...
No, behind you. No, you can different water. But the issue here, if the ears are part of the head, so it's an obligation to do. So if someone will wipe the head and he will not do the ears, then his wudu is not invalid. If we say it's not part of the head, then if you just wipe the head, if you don't have enough water, without wiping the ears, your wudu is valid. And we're saying it's not part because the head is considered to be from this part. So, but someone will do it because he's doing it, all the time, and that is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. But this is the issue here. But to wipe them, you wipe them with different water. You wipe, and then you take another water, and you wipe the ears. Now, yes, the brother has a question. Yes.
The last comment about the shower, the intention higher than the certainty, like certain that this person made the shower. So how can we level that? The certainty is higher than the intention, or the intention is higher than the certainty?
No, nothing have to do with the certainty that he took a shower or not. It's the intention why he took the shower. What was his purpose to take a shower? I mean, people sometimes he worked hard, played, worked on his backyard, and he felt to take a shower. But he's still in state of impurity. He didn't wash from the impurity, for example. He takes a shower. He feels refreshed. He said, oh, by the way, I had janaba, he didn't clean. I consider this inshallah. No, don't consider. Say, go make another shower for that impurity, for the janaba. Okay? So that's the intention. So, yes.
Two questions, sure. You mentioned about the wudu and sequence, and you started with the face and the hands and the rest of it. So my question is, when we make wudu, you go in, you normally start with I have to wash my hands first. If you emphasize the face, then the hands, but
No, we're talking about the sequence of the obligatory parts. The sequence here of the obligatory parts. But we follow the sequence in the complete of image with the hand, and we're going to see it. So the next sentences, inshallah, is going to have a summary of how to do wudu, including the pillars of it and including the sunan, and included everything. So what will be the complete image of the wudu, inshallah, and we saw it into each sequence. Yeah.
The other question was, like, a lot of us, we live in this environment, work job, like you said, the brother that put his foot in the sink, and, came to get him. So, I want to know if I'm doing this correctly. When I get to the morning, my attention, maybe I take a shower, do wudu, and I wash my feet, and then I put my socks on. Okay? Then once I'm at work or something, I wipe over them, and some, what knowledge of each meal, the socks are certain thickness, you can wipe over. If I'm incorrect, please correct me now. And because at the job, you can't take your shoes off and put your feet in there because people look at you like you're crazy. I mean, they do. I mean, I didn't try to do that.
I mean, inshallah is rewarded to be crazy in the sake of Allah.
We're strangers, I accept that. So I'm asking you, is this acceptable to do that?
Inshallah, let's, instead of answer you, that's what we're going to have in next chapter.
Thank you.
So the next chapter we're going to study it, inshallah. But what you're doing is right. So what you're doing is right. Now. Can someone repeat the question?
He said the sunnah have
I'm sorry?
He said the sunnah have a sequence.
Yes. Yeah, we follow the sequence of the sunnah too. Yes. But the sequence that is an obligation, if it's not followed, invalidate the wudu, are the obligatory part that we just studied. Okay? If someone will make mistake in the sunnah parts, his wudu will be still valid because of the hadith that you mentioned, that the Prophet rinsed his mouth after his washing his face. Now.
You mentioned in hadith in which the Prophet he was offered a towel by his wife and he didn't use it. But is there another hadith that states that he did take the towel or he did dry himself?
I didn't hear this.
Okay. So you mentioned a hadith in which the Prophet brought a towel by his wife. And in this
Brought what?
a towel.
Yes.
So in this hadith he said he didn't use it and he declined it. Is there another hadith that says he did dry himself or he did use a towel?
Well, the Prophet didn't forbid it. So that action, it was because his action, it wasn't an order. And the scholar, they say, there's the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, and there's the action of the Prophet. And his saying comes before his action. So when he talked about wudu and he talked about things, he didn't forbid, he said, do not do that. So it is accepted to dry them. But it is also, as we said, from this hadith. So this is the saying of the scholar. The legs is up to the ankles. When you wash, the feet is up to the ankles. Okay? So that's the whole qadam, up to the ankles. And the ankles is two bones on the side, so you get up to them, that's where you wash the legs. Not up to the tibia. No, this is down. That will be the whole body. But the legs, to wash the foot, or the one foot will be up to the ankles, above the ankles, and the ankles will be included.
Does the sequence also include the order of the left and the right?
No, the sequence is only in every part. But that's the sunnah to right, or start always with the right. But if someone starts with the left by mistake, that will not invalidate. But is that not a sequence? The sequence is only in every part. Any other question?